So Brendon, thank you very much for taking time to meet with Macro Realty Developments. Really just got a few quick questions for you so that we don't have to have individuals ask you themselves all the time. So something we get asked is that now with seeing the iron ore prices come back, is there really still a need for Pilbara Cities?
Absolutely. People that visit the Pilbara would see that it's relatively undeveloped. The government has a plan for 50,000 people to live in Karratha and 50,000 to live in Port Hedland. And I would suggest that when we reach that target, we'll start planning for bigger again. If you look at the north of Queensland, they've got cities of 100,000 people all the way up the coast in the regional parts of Queensland. There's stronger economic drivers in the north of Western Australia, and the area is still relatively undeveloped. So,
stronger than Queensland, you would say?
Absolutely. Again, that Queensland is based on coal, and China especially is looking to bring down their emissions, and so natural gas is becoming more of a flavour. And so Western Australia has natural gas, Western Australia has the iron ore, and so I think there's enormous opportunities, and there's still the highest paying jobs in Australia. There's still a wonderful natural environment, and the government is determined to grow cities in the north of Western Australia.
Okay, so on that, when you say the government's determined to grow them, what exactly is the commitment? What's royalties for regions? What's the formula? What's been done so far, and what's going to be done in the future?
So royalties for regions takes a percentage of each tonne of iron ore that's exported to our international trading partners, and it puts that into a special fund for regional development, and the vast majority of that fund is being invested into the Pilbara. We've underpinned the development of power, water, water services, sewage and the like to make sure that the land is development ready. We work very closely with traditional landowners to ensure that native title is solved. And so we've really got development ready, I suppose, for the first time ever. And one of the reasons why there aren't major cities in the north of Western Australia is because governments of previous persuasions never actually got ready for that development. So we are now development ready. The infrastructure is already in place for cities of 50,000 people, and the planning is in place to make sure that as that growth continues, so does the infrastructure spend, as well as getting power and water and sewage ready. Yes. We know that we need to get the livability bit right as well, and so you'll see remodelled main streets, you'll see a focus on leisure activities, so new sports grounds, swimming pools and the like, to make sure that we're making these communities livable. And for the first time in probably their 50-year history, they are becoming more livable, and then as those communities grow, well, young families will take their homes there, and the longevity of families is something we need to work on. And so rather than just dad working in town, you want mum and dad in town, the kids going to school, when the kids graduate, hopefully a university in the local community, and then they start a family as well, and then you get multi-generations. And we've never really had multi-generations in the Pilbara. We've got a big focus on the moment on grandparents. How do we attract and retain grandparents into the community? Because they're a really important part of the community structure. And you'll see government talking more about how we attract grandparents of families that are working in the Pilbara. How do we bring the grandparents up to reunite the families and make that family structure work?
And then people, I guess both people could work if that's what they wanted to do. So do people really want to live up there on a permanent basis? What's the feedback been? You have the vision for Pilbara Cities because the jobs are there. Do people want to live there?
The best fishing and marine environment in Western Australia.
That's what I remember from Karratha.
Truly stunning. I took my family camping at Gregory's Gorge in just outside Millstream National Park a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely stunning.
That's what I tell everyone.
The best fishing, the best inland environment with Millstream National Park, Karrajini National Park, wide open spaces. We went to Honeymoon Cove at Point Sampson last Saturday. We had the whole beach to ourselves. You can't find that anywhere else in the world almost, and it's a beautiful environment, and it has got great opportunities for growth. So most of the world's population lives in that climate zone, and so yes, it gets warm during the summer months, but people seem to love that. And I'm a good advocate for it because I've moved my family from the southern part of Western Australia to the northern part, and they're thriving and loving it. And there's certainly absolutely no reason that I can see why we can't grow to cities of 50,000 and then continue to push on and grow beyond that. We just came back from Shanghai last week, population 29 million.
Yes.
You would have thought there's a fairly large room for growth in the northern part of Western Australia, given that it's our resources that are underpinning a lot of that growth in huge cities like Shanghai.
Absolutely. The lifestyle we could offer migrants, for example, would be amazing. What people put up with as such in India and China pales into comparison to what we have in the Pilbara. Is there any talk of inviting migrants in to the opportunities of the Pilbara?
So I'm really excited about this, that lots of the development phases of Australia's history have been driven by migration. And Western Australia is in a development phase at the moment. Our development of the north has been underpinned by international investment, Chinese, Japanese, Korean into the resource sector. We're now seeing a push into agriculture across the Pilbara and Kimberley region. It seems a logical next progression that would begin to attract families from overseas to take up small businesses, to take the opportunities that exist in the community. My next door neighbour in Karratha is an Indian family who are working on the new tan plant in Karratha. And so again, if we have a multicultural community there, that'll make it much stronger. There's a new Indian restaurant going up in the main street of town. I look forward to taking my family there, and I like the fact that my boys are having a test match outside in the street in the afternoon.
Yes.
India versus Australia.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, we work with some wonderful Singaporean and Indian families, and they're very interested in the Pilbara. So the message to them would be that the Pilbara is welcoming migrants and people willing to move.
Well, absolutely. And I think too that you find that almost like development fronts like that it is a microcosm of multiculturalism. And I think that's really exciting. That drives a more diverse economy. I love the fact that my sons at school have got Aboriginal friends, Indian friends. Certainly not the lifestyle I had growing up in the southern part of Western Australia. And I think that can only be beneficial to them growing up. And I'd really like to send the message that there's huge opportunities in the small business sector in the north of Western Australia. And I would hope that the international families see those opportunities and take them up, because it's a great opportunity for them and their family. I want to work with the federal government on visas and permanent residency options to help drive that growth. But as well as that, I want more options of small businesses, coffee shops, restaurants, and small shops to help underpin the local economy, as well as big businesses driving Australia's export wealth. That needs to be underpinned by small businesses, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. That's what makes a real community.
That's terrific news for us. Developing real estate, we're from the region, we understand it, we see the need ourselves, and the fact that you've already pretty much driven the infrastructure for us. We're just finishing the job. It's the next natural phase. So it's just great that you were able to take the time today to endorse that and show that. Thank you very much, Brendon.
And more than happy to talk to anyone about the potential of northern Western Australia. I think in 20 and 50 years' time, we're going to be looking at modern, substantially sized cities in the northwest, and a lot of that groundwork has started in the last 2 or 3 years, so this is real new, and the opportunity for people to get involved in that growth is, I think, some of the most exciting opportunities in the world.
For sure. For anyone that's not following what it is you do for Western Australia, could you just give a synopsis of your position and your role?
So I'm the local Member of Parliament for the Pilbara, for the State Parliament, but previously I was the Minister for Regional Development. It was my policy and my party's policy that pushed the Realty for Regions plan, and I was the Minister in charge of the Pilbara Cities vision, and I was the Minister in charge of the Ord agricultural precinct development with Chinese investment going into agriculture in the north. So it's really my sole focus now is continuing to underpin that growth of the Pilbara and Kimberley region. And so I've got a full-time job, I suppose, working between state ministers and federal ministers, and coming from the background where it was my original policy, having the opportunity to work full-time just on that allows me to have the time to have conversations like this and hopefully talk to some of the potential investors that you're talking to about where I see the next level of opportunity. And I suppose it's more about focusing purely on that and making sure that the vision of the government turns into reality, and that will be when we reach our target of cities of 50,000 people in Port Hedland and Karratha. 15,000 is what we're aiming for in Newman, and I would hope that again that once we get the trajectory right, and that looks like it's occurring, then you start planning for the next level of development after that.
Fantastic. It's great to hear you say that. It's a great opportunity for everyone involved. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.